Yeah, man, I hope we don't have brain damage.
Great way to end the show.
It's Ralph Serato and Race Day Las Vegas mornings on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits. Here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It is Pushing the Limits, and I am so glad that you can join us on this very sunny day in Las Vegas. Happy you all could be here on KSHP. Of course, we're broadcasting live on YouTube. It is the PTL Vegas YouTube page where we do video and audio, so you can look at my pretty mug and understand why I have a face for radio. Also, the Facebook fan page, PTL Vegas. We're also live on TikTok. Man, we're all over the place. We're having some fun. And yesterday was a good time. You know, we had the mooch on, Anthony Scaramucci. I got a lot of comments from that interview he did with me. He did not have any nice things to say about Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, or even Kevin McCarthy. Tiny Trump, by the way, he called him Tiny Trump, which I thought was extremely funny, alluding to the fact that Donald Trump might have a small member. Now, I can't verify that for sure, but Donald Trump does have small hands, okay? That you want to make that correlation, you go right ahead. But anyway, that was a lot of fun yesterday. If you missed that interview, you can check it out on my TikTok page. You can check it out on my YouTube page, which is PTL Vegas. We got a lot to talk about today. Now, this might shock some of you, but yes, Ron DeSantis is going after a local drag queen show in Florida. We're going to explain exactly what he did and what exactly the show was about, which is kind of interesting and funny, by the way. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a few minutes. Donald Trump in more legal trouble. We'll get to that as well. Joe Biden's visit to Las Vegas yesterday appeared to go pretty well. And there are some people on the right that are claiming that the Biden crime family, as they call them, they're taking all this money from China, but they seem to forget about a couple key people in the Trump administration called Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. So we're also going to get into that. Coming up in hour number 2, the 11-year NBA veteran Paul McKeskey is going to be joining us in studio. We're going to be talking a little bit about John Morant, too, because he just did an interview. If you recall, he got into a little bit of trouble going into a strip club after a loss with his team and flashing a gun around. We're going to talk a little bit about that and obviously break down the NCAA tournament. You know, if you listen to this show, you're making money because I gave you a pick yesterday, and I normally never do picks on this show, but I was so confident that Arizona State was going to destroy Nevada and Steve Alford. I said all week long that Nevada did not deserve to be in the tournament. Even a guest I had on, who's a hoops expert, disagreed with me. He said, oh, no, Nevada. I said, Arizona State, if they play just average, they're going to wipe Nevada clean. That's exactly what happened yesterday. I'm betting against the Mountain West Conference, man. I'm just telling you, I'm betting against it. But we'll talk some hoops coming up in hour number 2. I also have a big announcement to make for you PTL fans out there. Making the official announcement right now on this show. I have a permanent co-host who's going to be starting on Monday. His name is Jamie D. He tried out a few weeks ago on this show, and he is my permanent co-host starting on Monday. I'm really excited to have him, the 28-year-old. I need somebody a little bit younger than me. I'm 42. I'm getting old, man. Going to be 43 in April. Man, time goes by. But he's going to be joining us on Monday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to having Jamie here. We're also going to have some other new guests of the show and people that are associated with the show. So I'm really excited about that. And as I mentioned, Jamie starts on Monday. So I mentioned that Donald Trump's in a little bit of legal trouble. Maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot. But Trump Media, the parent company of Truth Social, is now under federal investigation. I know, I can't believe it. I'm not starting with Hunter Biden's laptop. It's a shocker. So Truth Social is under federal investigation for money laundering in connection to 2 payments made to them totaling $8 million from entities reportedly controlled by allies of Vladimir Putin. Apparently, Truth Social has been going under, and they've been oozing money and losing money because most people aren't on Truth Social because it sucks. That's why. And apparently they were ready to go belly up unless they got this $8 million investment into a company that's not going to make any company. And now it's being investigated by the FBI. So that's just something else that Donald Trump has to worry about these days. And it looks like Truth Social was about to get $1 billion in capital. And then the SEC started investigating. So the capital went proof, and they were likely weeks or even days from going under. And now they suddenly get $8 million from a bank in Dominica, co-owned by a Russian oligarch. Yeah, they're in some trouble. And Donald Trump Jr.'s name has been associated with it, by the way. Now, while all this is going on, and Trump is under investigation left and right, then we talk about Ivanka Trump. Yes, Ivanka Trump has tried to delay her trial in the New York AG civil suit for fraud against the Trumps, saying she can't prepare a defense by October 2nd. Total BS, and I'll tell you why. The case was filed on September 21st, 2022. She's had quite enough time to put together a defense here, more than a year before upcoming trial date. The investigation has gone on now for 2 years before that. Ivanka Trump has had plenty of time, but she's trying to delay. Meanwhile, the investigation into Hunter Biden's laptop and the affairs of a private citizen, by the way, because that's what Hunter Biden is. He's a private citizen. Hunter Biden has never been a politician. He's a private citizen. That has gone on for like 5 years now, and they've literally found nothing. There is no evidence of criminal wrongdoing, nothing. Yet that's all Republicans want to talk about is Hunter Biden's laptop. And while all this stuff is going on and people want to find out what's up with Hunter Biden, what's up with Hunter Biden's laptop, let me bring to you Jared and Ivanka, who were part of the Donald Trump administration. 6 months after former President Donald Trump stole top secret documents and brought it to Mar-a-Lago, Jared Kushner received $2 billion from the Saudis. Do you hear Republicans talking about that? Do you hear Sean Hannity talking about that, or Laura Ingraham, or Tucker Carlson? Do you ever hear any of these people on Fox News or OAN and Newsmax talking about this story? You talk about the fact that Jared got $2 billion from the Saudis. No, you won't hear Republicans talk about that, but they want to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop and Burisma. They want to talk about, oh my God, he was making $50,000 a month. That's more important to them to look at pictures or try to find pictures of Hunter Biden snorting cocaine off of a hooker. That's more important to them than maybe trying to figure out why Jared Kushner got a $2 billion investment deal from the Saudis. That's not important though, right? It's not important that Ivanka Trump, her dealings in China, or that Donald Trump had this bank in China. That's not important, right? I mean, the hypocrisy coming from the right here is unbelievable. It is literally unbelievable. But keep talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, because that's more important to you than somebody actually in Donald Trump's administration getting a $2 billion investment deal from the Saudis a week before we found out of the documents that Donald Trump took with him to Mar-a-Lago. But that's not important. Let's not talk about that, right? All the money that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner received under the Trump administration. Let's talk about Hunter Biden, a private citizen. Folks, it's ridiculous. It is literally, absolutely ridiculous. And the hypocrisy, I'll give you another example of hypocrisy. Right-wing hypocrisy, as I call it, folks. So Charlie Kirk is a complete right-wing buffoon. He always has been. He dropped out of high school. He's got no education. I believe he is a white supremacist sympathizer. Charlie Kirk is just a right-wing echo chamber of conspiracy theories and hate. He is a racist. He is a white supremacist sympathizer. He is uneducated. And for some reason, colleges are paying this guy to speak. I really don't understand why. You might as well get a Klan member to speak at your university. I don't know why anybody wants to listen to this guy. And here's a perfect example of what I am talking about. This is what Charlie Kirk tweeted out earlier today. He said, so a Chinese energy company sends $3 million to a Biden family business associate 2 months after Joe leaves office as VP. And then Haley Biden, Beau Biden's widow and ex-girlfriend of Hunter, mysteriously starts receiving incremental payments. So, by the way, that has not been confirmed, and that's another Charlie Kirk conspiracy theory. But Here's something you won't hear from Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump walked out of the White House with boxes full of stolen classified documents. A couple months later, the Saudis decided to invest $2 billion with Trump's son-in-law. And let's be clear on this, Jared Kushner is so bad at business that he nearly bankrupted his family business. Don't you find that a little bit suspicious? Don't you find that? I find that extremely suspicious. Don't you? I don't know. Maybe you don't. You can give me a call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't care what the Saudis gave Jared Kushner. Maybe all you care about is Hunter Biden's laptop. I'll open up the phone lines. 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. That's 702-221-SAVE. You know, I find it very, very interesting that so many of the right-wing Republicans out there on the right-wing echo chamber radio, which is known as Fox Noise or OAN or Newsmax, and many of the politicians that are on the right, like Gymnasium Jordan and Matt DUI Gates and Three-Toe Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert, all they want to talk about is Hunter Biden, and they want to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop and how the FBI is weaponized politically. Because, you know, you didn't know that, folks. The FBI is just full of nothing but liberals, right? I mean, according to Republicans, that's exactly what that is. But they don't want to talk about Jared Kushner. They don't want to talk about Ivanka Trump. They don't want to talk about their business dealings in China. They don't want to talk about the $2 billion deal that Jared Kushner got from the Saudis. That's just totally fine. By the way, let me repeat, these are actually people that were in the administration, in Donald Trump's administration. Hunter Biden has never been a politician. He is a private citizen. If Hunter Biden broke the law, then so be it. They have been investigating Hunter Biden for 5 years, and they have come up with nothing. Nothing. Zero. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, even though I can't promise to save you anything, it does spell out 702-221-SAVE if, in fact, you do want to be a part of the program. You know, it is the definition of hypocrisy. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Absolute hypocrisy. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. All right, let's start off the conversation with JD, who's calling into the program. Hello, JD. What's going on?
Good afternoon, sir. I might be off topic, but I think you might be interested in what I have to say to you today. I just read an article in Newsweek magazine and The Guardian, both highly conservative publications. I only jest. About Black Lives Matter. And they have reported in Newsweek, in The Guardian, that 200 American cities were ransacked in 2020 to the cost of $2 billion in property damage.
JD, I'm happy
and
to talk to you.
25 deaths.
JD, I'm happy to talk to you about Black Lives Matter, but I do find this interesting when I'm talking about fraud and Jared Kushner accepting $2 billion from the Saudis. In your mind, I wonder how you go from that to, hey, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. I'm just curious. I'm happy to have this conversation with you. Why is it that when I talk to staunch right-wing Republicans that might be biased, and I talk to them about, say, January 6th, or I might have a conversation with them about, say, Jared Kushner taking $2 billion from the Saudis, or Ivanka Trump making $600 million from China, and all the legal problems that Donald Trump has, why is it that your go-to is, hey, let's talk about Black Lives Matter? I'm just curious.
Well, I thought you might be interested because
you thought
of
I
the
might
January.
Be interested. Are you not interested in those in Donald Trump's administration?
You asked me a question. Can I respond?
Sure. I mean, I'm not, but go ahead.
In response to the January 6th hearings and the damage and the debts that everybody professes,
everybody doesn't profess it. They've been convicted in a court of law.
The Newsweek article talks about 200 American cities, $2 billion in property taxes,
and your point,
at least 25 deaths, and there has been no investigation.
That is absolutely not true.
article-
People have been convicted and people are in jail for what took place at many of
In
those
the
Black Lives Matter
article,
protests.
they
You're 100% wrong. Next.
In the article of Newsweek, they say 95% of the protesters were never charged.
That's because 95% of the protesters didn't commit crimes, you dope.
It's impossible to have a decent conversation
There
with
were
you.
tens of millions of
I'm
people
a
that
dope
protested during
because I'm
Black Lives
quoting
Matter. Do you mean to
Newsweek
tell
magazine.
me? Okay, let's start from square one. And again, I don't even know why.
Because I'm quoting Newsweek.
And I'm quoting you. Do you understand that tens of millions of people protested during Black Lives Matter? And do you also understand that a very small percentage of those people were committing crimes? 95% is accurate.
But they committed $2 billion in property damage and 25 deaths.
So what are you claiming? Because there was a lot of property damage, half the people were committing crimes? What are you saying?
I didn't say that.
So what are you saying? Tell me.
Newsweek said 25 deaths.
And go on. What is your point?
That.
There were tens of millions of people that protested. The overwhelming majority of those people didn't commit crimes. So I ask you again, why is it you never call into a show and talk about anything, all the issues that are facing the right? Why is it you don't want to comment on Jared Kushner receiving $2 billion from the Saudis? Why is it you always defend January 6th? It's called credibility, JD, and you have none. Exactly. Did he hang up the phone? Exactly. What a buffoon. What about Black Lives Matter? What about? That is what Republicans do today, ladies and gentlemen. And JD is a perfect example of it. Here I am starting the show because these are some of the biggest news stories of the day. When the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, I was talking about Black Lives Matter protests. But I start the show today, and JD, I'm so glad he called because it's a perfect example of what I am talking about. JD is a perfect example of what I am talking about. I'm talking about what the Donald Trump administration and the money that Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump took while Donald Trump was president, including a $2 billion investment from the Saudis. I am talking about those topics to begin the program and the fact that Donald Trump might be indicted. And when I bring up those topics, people that are on the far right, not all Republicans, but people that are on the far right that are so biased, don't want to talk about those topics. They want to talk about some random article in Newsweek about Black Lives Matter protests, which has no bearing on this conversation. None. Zero. I don't even know if I want to bring this guy back on because he completely changes the subject and he thinks he can call into a radio show and completely change the topic. JD, I'm only going to talk to you about the topics that I'm talking about, okay? Not the topics that you want to talk about because, you know, on right-wing echo chamber radio, I'm sure they'll take your call and you can attack Black Lives Matter until the cows come home. But guess what? That's not what I do here. I am talking about the corruption within the Trump administration and the fact that Republicans don't want to, all they want to talk about is the Hunter Biden laptop, which is, by the way, to this point in years has shown no criminality. But yet we know that Jared Kushner took a $2 billion investment from the Saudis a week before the FBI found these classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, and that Ivanka Trump took in upwards of $700 million in profits from China, and Donald Trump had a private bank account from China. Why is it you don't want to talk about that?
Could I talk now?
If you answer my question.
I will. Can I ask you where you have received that information? Because I haven't seen it.
Because it's public knowledge.
Did NBC reported? Did CBS reported? Where did you get the information from?
Everybody's reporting it. Apparently, maybe not Clan TV. Maybe you watch that. But yeah, it's all over the networks, and it's proven fact. Can you give me an example of when and where a national organization reported it? Sure. MSNBC, CBS, NBC, CNN, even Fox News has reported on this story, and they've done segments on it. Brett Baer did a segment on this. Brett Baer, your boy on Fox News. What does it matter whether it was 2 days ago or a month ago? The fact is that it's public knowledge.
I'm asking for information. That's
And
all
I'm
I'm
giving
asking.
you
I'm not
information.
critical.
And if you don't believe me, you can
I'm
Google
asking
it.
you
The
when it was.
Saudis came here. They
You're-
met at
you're
Mar-a-Lago with
You're
Jared Kushner.
impossible to have a conversation with, sir. You're just impossible. You're just so
I'm
one-sided.
impossible to have a conversation
Yeah,
with. Okay,
yeah,
so
because
JD,
you
I know you've never been in
overtalk and
radio
you yell.
before.
You yell and scream and talk and talk down and everything
you
else.
bring up different topics that a radio host is not talking about. That's why. Because you're a clown. Go listen to your right-wing echo chamber radio. Go watch your Tucker Carlson. Because all of a sudden you want evidence now. Oh, give me evidence. It's public knowledge. It's everywhere that Jared Kushner met with the Saudis. Every news publication has reported on it that he accepted a $2 billion investment. But yet you say, oh, where's the evidence? But yet you're the same guy that believes that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. It's hilarious. I'm talking to you about proven facts about how Donald Trump's own family members took advantage of who he was as the president. But yet, you want to talk about Black Lives Matter. I'll tell you why I believe you want to talk about Black Lives Matter. Because I think you're a racist. That's why. Because you'll take every opportunity to go after somebody who is brown. You'll take every opportunity to go after somebody that's a minority. But when it comes to the white supremacists that stormed the Capitol on January 6th, that was a tourist visit. You don't want to talk about the violence that took place on January 6th, do you, JD? No, you don't want to talk about that. Let's attack brown people. And by the way, whatever stupid article you read from, they were actually accurate. 95, and I would probably say it was more than that, but I'll be generous. At least 95% of the people, of the tens of millions of people that were protesting during Black Lives Matter protests, were not violent and they didn't commit any crimes. Nobody condones violence and nobody would condone lighting things on fire. But you see, that's the go-to. It's called whataboutism. When talking about January 6th, you want to talk about Black Lives Matter. And let me give you a very simple distinction between Black Lives Matter and January 6th. The overwhelming majority of people at Black Lives Matter were protesting for something called equality. I know you can't spell that word and you don't know what it means. The overwhelming majority of people that were protesting during Black Lives Matter protesting for equality. All the people that were protesting on January 6th were protesting based on a lie that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. A lie. Those people that stormed the Capitol are terrorists. They are domestic terrorists. And they were trying to overturn the outcome of a free and fair election. That's the difference between Black Lives Matter and January 6th. Number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, is 702-221-7283. Now, it's interesting because Ron DeSantis and James Comer are now blaming diversity initiatives and wokeism for the bank collapse at Silicon Valley. And I'm not making this stuff up. We're going to play audio for you that proves that. I'm not making this up. They are actually blaming wokeism for the bank failures. So these are a few cuts here from Ron DeSantis. I want you to have a listen to this. This is Ron DeSantis and James Comer blaming, I'm not making this up, wokeism for the bank failures in Silicon Valley. Have a listen to this.
This bank, they're so concerned with DEI and politics and all kinds of stuff. I think that really diverted from them focusing on their core mission.
They were one of the most woke banks in their quest for the ESG type policy.
Yeah, there you go. It's wokeism. That's what it is. If you ask anybody with a brain, financier with a brain, they will all tell you that is a lie. That is not true. And it's absurd. And I bring you Suze Orman, who is a financial expert who spoke in regards to the comments that DeSantis and James Comer make. These are actually people that do this for a living. Listen to what Suze Orman had to say about this.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. What governed SVB really, SVB rather, was the desire for profits, to make money, to actually, rather than to really look at their loans and their deposits and maybe make 0.25% on it, they went and they wanted to make more money on it. It was the desire for earnings because their stock was on the stock exchange. It was at $700 a share at one point. What did that have to do with diversity? So when people start looking at things like that to blame what happened, that just shows you their serious lack of economics, of money and reality. And they're simply going for your vote. And if I were going to vote for somebody that was that ridiculous, it would only be because I would be equally as ridiculous for wanting to do that when it makes absolutely no sense at all. That kind of thinking will get this world into recession, into trouble faster than anything else, because you're not dealing with the real problem.
There you go. Sue Zorman is a very smart lady. She's right. This isn't about a woke bank. And you know what? I'll even take it a step further. How about we blame the banks and the management and the CEOs? What about that? How about we stop blaming the left and the right? Now, I could sit here and I could say Donald Trump's deregulation of the Dodd bill could have played a role in this. But you know what? I'm not even going to go that far. I'm going to say the CEOs and the management that are running these banks have failed the American people. How about we do that? How about we put some blame in that? How about we put some blame in management and stop blaming the right and stop blaming the left? There's plenty of blame to go around, like I said. But Ron DeSantis, who will most likely be one of the front runners, him and Donald Trump on the right, to be the next president, is saying it was wokeism and it was a woke bank. I mean, this is just stunning, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. I think we'll start with line 3. Why don't we go with Robert? Robert, let's go with Robert on line 3. Hi, Robert. Are you there?
Hey, buddy. How you doing? This is Attacking the Ignorance from TikTok. Remember, you followed me.
I think I remember, Robert. You can refresh my memory, but go ahead, my friend.
Oh, I'm a total Trump hater,
okay.
man. I'm the one who's
You're a Trump hater? Is that what you said?
Oh, Trump is the most disgusting person on earth, and nobody really cares who follows him.
Robert,
I
I
mean,
don't even know why you would say that. I mean, he's a very good-looking man. He's in fantastic physical condition. He's got an incredible tan. He's got great hair. He seems to treat women with a total amount of respect. He seems to be a very honest businessman. I mean, doesn't he, Robert? I don't know why you would think that way.
Well, possibly. I mean, you could sway me a little bit here, but then again,
Did I sway you? Okay. Robert, what do you think about this? I want to ask you this. Here I am talking about proven corruption in the Trump administration, right? Even Fox News has reported on this, that Jared Kushner receives $2 billion from the Saudis. And then I got a guy calling up who wants to talk about Black Lives Matter. Robert, help me out. How do I deal with these people?
What about Obama? And what about Hillary Clinton? And what about Joe Biden? They're a crime family.
Yeah, what about? I think they call that whataboutism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whataboutism. You know, the thing is it seems to me that if Trump's name all of a sudden changed to Jim Jones, we would lose some people.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't matter what information is coming out about Donald Trump, like recently another phone call from Fulton County regards to trying to change votes in Georgia. The Fox information, the depositions of Rupert Murdoch, knowing that Sidney Powell and all these people have lied about voter fraud, the Dominion, Smartmatic, knowingly and willingly, and calling these people Sidney Powell an idiot, Rudy Giuliani a drunk, and Mike Lindell a nut job. It doesn't matter. Donald Trump has implanted his seed of stupidity in the people, in a big percentage of people who follow him.
I agree.
Now,
by the way,
again,
you mentioned the MyPillow guy. A new story just came out yesterday. Mike Lindell, Mike Pillow, as I call him. Apparently, his company has gone in the tank, and he just had to borrow $10 million. I don't know if you heard about that.
Oh, yeah. I got that video going. I'm working on that video right now, so I can put it on my site. How does somebody who has $300 million
because he's just like Donald Trump. He's a liar. He's a liar just like Trump. He claims to be this wealthy, rich, successful businessman, and yet you have his business that's gone in the tank.
Exactly. And again, it doesn't matter what information is coming out, that these people, they all say it's fake, it's a witch hunt, it's a lie. And we're using Trump's own words. We're using Trump's own documents. We're using his tax information. We're using other people's words and truthfulness behind closed doors,
right,
knowing that they lied to millions upon millions of people, knowing what they're doing is going to increase their bottom line on their stock.
You are 100%.
So
you are 100% correct. And you know what's interesting about this is, we could be talking about Donald Trump and a big story that came out today where it's been proven that he was doing business with Russia or China. And a big story could come out today, and people would still be calling into my show like JD wanting to talk about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, it's a diversion. It's a diversion.
No question.
And the thing is this: are they worried about Donald Trump's new information coming out that he received $10 million in donations to Truth Social?
No, and that's a story, as you know, Robert, that I brought up a few minutes ago. They don't want to talk about that. Where they were finally getting their eye out on this story, and now they're under federal investigation. Truth Social's under federal investigation for money laundering in connection to 2 payments made to them, totaling $8 million. That's what you're referring to, and this was controlled by allies of Vladimir Putin. But no, let's talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, Black Lives Matter, and drag queens. Well, I got some good news, Robert, for some of the right-wing nuts out there. I am going to talk about drag queens in the next segment, so you're going to want to stay tuned, okay?
Oh, by the way, when it comes to drag queens, drag shows,
yes,
are the parents that are worried about parents taking their children to these shows? Do you people still complain when you take your children to Hooters and the beach where girls are wearing skimpy, G-string?
No, they won't. No, they won't. And that's a good point. They won't because they're hypocrites, Robert. I do appreciate your call as always, my friend. Thanks for calling in. Okay, buddy?
Thank you, buddy. Have a good day and be safe.
Appreciate that. You too, my friend. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl's next. What's going on, Carl?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
You still got the best show on the air, so
I
I will
appreciate
let you know.
that. Thank you. Wait a second. Better than Sean Hannity? Am I better than Tucker, the white supremacist Carlson? I don't know. They're making more money.
But you
than
gotta
me,
have
unfortunately.
you gotta have a better show than people with no brains. I mean, come on. Anyway, listen, you're talking about the bank problem and all, and the woke bank.
Yeah.
Well, let me say one thing. They're trying to scare everybody in the banking system. Let me explain something real quick to you. That any bank that's covered by the FDIC, which is all the major banks, you can have an account up to $250,000 and is covered by the FDIC government. So a family, a wife and a husband alone, the wife can have one account in her name, $250,000 guaranteed. The husband, $250,000 guaranteed by the FDIC, and a joint account, $750,000 guaranteed by the federal government. So most family, I don't think anybody, you're going to find 99% of the population won't have that kind of money in a bank. But that's about what it is. It's ridiculous to scare people like that.
Well, you know what? And I hear what you're saying, Carl. And, there are people on the right that are blaming the left. There are people on the left that are blaming the right. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden. And you can make the argument that Donald Trump deregulated these banks with the Dodd bill that was put forth when Trump was president. But you know what? I'm not even going to go that far. This is bad management. These are bad CEOs. And this has nothing to do with wokeism, which is a joke. That's the term that right-wingers use. It's bad management and bad CEOs. I don't think it has much of anything to do with Donald Trump. Well, I certainly don't think it has anything to do with Joe Biden.
The last point, you're talking about Lindell, and what a crooked, he's a crooked businessman, just like Trump was. He used to be in all the major stores, and he was thrown out of every major store because he had an F rating from the Better Business Bureau, because people would send in for his stuff, and he either wouldn't send them or he'd say it's 2 for 1. And
by the way, his
one.
Pillows suck. I tried one. I got one of his pillows as a gift. It was the worst pillow I've ever had. I just wanted to be clear.
Well,
Carl, I got to run, my friend. I got to take a break, but I always appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay.
Yeah. Mike Lindell's pillows suck. I woke up the next day. I should have done a tutorial. Maybe he would have used it for one of his commercials. I woke up the next day. My neck was killing me. I had right-winger pain in my neck. I think that's what the doctor called it. I don't know, but I would never buy one of those stupid pillows. I'll tell you that right now. All right, you're going to want to stay tuned because coming up next, I have a story for you out of a Florida hotel. It involves Ron DeSantis, and it involves drag queens. And Ron DeSantis ain't happy, and those who are running the drag queen show are not happy either. It's a very interesting story, I got to say. It is interesting. So we'll take a break. We're going to talk about it when we come up next. And of course, if you want to be a part of the program, the number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. We'll be back right after this.
Pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Silverado Ranch, Boulevard, just off the road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are superb. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Mossman. He was Las Vegas' top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Mossman representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness, conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, we'll take care of all your healthcare needs. We offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. Chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. We also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. We're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
As a three-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzones, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their two Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. NCAA tournament. Looks like Utah State's going to be going down against Mountain West Conference team. I think it is. I say that every year, and people still don't believe me. Paul McKeskey, the big man, the 7-footer, 11-year NBA veteran, is going to be joining us in studio here, top of the hour. Talk some hoops, talk about John Morant, talk NBA, talk NCAA tournament, and all that. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care, located at 6125 West Sahara Avenue. No appointment needed. Give them a call, 702-248-0554. You could also visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. They take most insurances if you don't have insurance. Only a $95 payment. Like I said, I was in and out of there in 20 minutes. Please give them a call or check them out. Stop by Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care and tell them that I sent you. All right, folks, we got an interesting story that I'm talking about now. It involves Ron DeSantis and drag queens. So you know it's going to be interesting, right? And you know Ron DeSantis, although I can picture Ron DeSantis as a drag queen. He could be good looking. I mean, I don't know. When he wore, I'll be honest, when he wore those white boots, I thought he looked really, really good. Thought it was very sexy. I'll be honest with you. But so the Hyatt Regency Miami hosted a drag queen Christmas in December. This is way back in December. It included, and I'm going to try to describe this on the radio so that I don't get in trouble, which is going to be very difficult, but I'm going to try to use my on-air broadcasting abilities to ad-lib a little bit. This drag queen Christmas in December, which was, by the way, an 18 and over show. It included performers rubbing, I can say this, prosthetic breasts. Yes, they were doing that. On faces and mouths of attendees. They were exposing rears. And they simulated some other sexual acts. Keep in mind, you can go as an 18-year-old into some strip clubs in this country and see people completely naked. That was not happening here. There were some graphic depictions of childbirth and or abortion. And a complaint was filed by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation. By the way, the person that filed the complaint is probably the same person that is committing adultery 8 times a day. I just want to be clear on that. The Hyatt's general manager said that the city of Miami owns the venue where the drag show took place and that a third party manages it. So everything makes sense so far, right? Well, Ron DeSantis is taking their liquor license away, and he's punishing them for this drag show that, for all intents and purposes, was completely legal. It might not be your thing. It's probably not my thing. I can't tell you that I'd want to go to that show, but to each their own. If that's what you want to see a drag show, I have absolutely no problem with that. Do I think it's appropriate for little kids? No. Hence 18 and over. The event in reference was hosted at the city-owned James L. Knight Center, which is a third-party operated venue adjacent to Hyatt Regency Miami, a statement that was made to Fox News. And, of course, Fox News is all over this story because it involves drag queens. Bad, bad. Let's not talk about guns or healthcare. Let's talk about those drag queens. Bad, bad. Killing our kids. Hyatt's only role at the James L. Knight Center is to provide food and beverage concessions, according to Hyatt management. Governor Ron DeSantis' office this week announced that it was beginning the process to remove the hotel's liquor license. The administration has also sent a warning to the Hyatt ahead of the event. Well, what would the warning be? That's what I don't understand. What's the warning here? According to those in Governor DeSantis' administration, here's what they're upset about. Sexually explicit content is not appropriate to display to children, and doing so violates Florida law. Florida's governor's press secretary, Brian Griffin, said. Governor DeSantis stands up for the innocence of children in the classroom and throughout Florida. I want to go back and first of all, 18 and over. If you're 18, you're not a little child. That's number one. So that's a lie. Number two, if Governor DeSantis does stand up for the innocence of children in the classroom, then why has he made it easier for people to get their hands on guns? An actual real issue facing Florida, hence the Parkland shooting. If Ron DeSantis really cares about our kids, wouldn't he do something about that? Instead, he's more focused on taking a liquor license away from a drag queen show, which, by the way, didn't hurt anybody. Nobody died. Nobody got injured. And from what I can see from the video, everybody was having a good time. People were smiling. And maybe there was one person in the crowd where maybe they were stiff and their feelings were hurt. So they decided to file a complaint. Well, guess what? Don't go to a drag queen show then, you idiot. It's like somebody who goes to a comedy show and doesn't want to laugh and then leaves and says, boy, I really didn't like that show. I didn't like some of the jokes. Then don't go to a comedy show, idiot. According to DeSantis' office, the hotel has 21 days to request a hearing on the matter. And Blattner clarified that the Hyatt would keep its liquor license in the meantime. Blattner wrote, "We are reviewing the complaint and will address the situation directly with the state's Department of Business and Professional Regulation as part of the administration review process." This is a picture of the drag queen show. Okay, I'm showing it to everybody. I remember I went to the show Divas, and I enjoyed it. It was a show in Las Vegas where they had some impersonators and men dressed as women impersonating those celebrities, and I thought it was fun. I didn't see anything wrong with it at all. And as far as this show is concerned, the show was updated and recommended for audiences of 18 years old and over. Again, you could be 18 years old in this country and you're a senior in high school. You can go to a strip club and see completely naked people there. That's okay, but this is a problem. Let me tell you what this isn't about. This isn't about sexually explicit stuff. This isn't about hurting children. This is about people on the far right that continuing to attack the LGBT community and attack drag queens. That's what this is about. This is about Christians, some Christians on the alt-right that don't agree with drag queens and drag queen shows, so they're trying to attack it. But you won't hear these same people talk about the real issues facing this country, and I talked about it, like our kids being killed by AR-15s. If Ron DeSantis really cares about our children, then why isn't he talking about those issues? But he's not. He'll send a bunch of migrants seeking asylum on a plane to Martha's Vineyard. He didn't really seem to care about those children that were on that plane, but that's okay. Use children as political pawns and send them to Martha's Vineyard. Let's make it easier for people, especially those that are mentally disturbed, to get their hands on guns. But oh boy, when it comes to a drag queen show, oh boy, that's just going to kill our children, isn't it? Those are the priorities of Ron DeSantis, and those are the priorities of the Republican Party. The regulations department complaint said that during the show, performers appeared on stage wearing sexually suggestive clothing and prosthetic female genitalia. So what? Who cares? An 18-year-old can go into a strip club and see the real deal. But none of you seem to have a problem with that. So if an 18-year-old walks into a drag queen show, you have a problem with that. But if an 18-year-old walks into a strip club, a heterosexual man, I would assume, that wants to see women naked, that's totally okay. Folks, you see the hypocrisy here? You see the hypocrisy? I do find this kind of funny, though. I'm going to read a little bit of the sketches that they do in this show, and some of you might not find it funny. Some of you might not have a sense of humor. I do find this funny. They do some sexual remixes on this show, by the way, to some popular Christmas songs. One of their songs is called "Screwed Off the Red-Nippled Reindeer." It sounds like a really good smash hit. That's something that I would definitely like to see. They were also playing explicit lyrics, including Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. Then one soggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. They're having and by the way, if this was done, I guarantee you, if some of these skits were done in a straight manner, and if this didn't have drag queens in this show, Ron DeSantis would have no problem with it. Republicans would have no problem with it, and we wouldn't be talking about it. So I ask you all this question, and I think it's a fair question to ask. Is this another example of Ron DeSantis being a dictator? Is this another example of Ron DeSantis and appealing to his base, and if you don't like something, you call it woke? Do you have a problem with an 18-year-old walking into a drag queen show, seeing some explicit sexual stuff? Do you think that's wrong? Or do you disagree with Ron DeSantis and, like me, think that he's an authoritative dictator? And this is another example of him going after the LGBT community and going after, in this case, what we're talking about here in this show, a drag queen Christmas show. I'll open up the phone lines. I want to hear from you. And I want to know your thoughts on this before we switch topics. Number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, the number, if you want to be a part of the program, 702-221-SAVE, 221-7283. I know we have a lot of people watching on social media, on all of our media platforms. We also do a live radio show here, and we are happy to take your call on this. What do you think about Ron DeSantis taking away the liquor license of this drag queen show, for the simple case being they're just a bunch of drag queens doing a show? Is there some sexually explicit material in this show? Absolutely. Is anybody forcing you to go to the show? Absolutely not. What is your problem with an 18-year-old walking into a drag queen show that might be sexually explicit? If you have a problem with that, then I guess you would have a problem with 18 and over strip clubs, right? That would be more sexually explicit, because in some of these strip clubs, even here in Las Vegas, you can be 18 years and over, and you can see a woman completely naked. Either or, it's up to the people in this country. I don't think 13-year-olds and 12-year-olds should be seeing this sort of stuff. I do find that inappropriate, and that shouldn't happen. But I think if you're 18 years old, you're old enough to be able to decide whether you want to see this sort of stuff or not. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. It doesn't really sound like the show that I would probably be into watching. Not really my thing, but we want to get your thoughts on that. Again, the number to call if you want to be part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. All right, let's get back to the phone lines here, and let's go to Harley, who's next up on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Harley.
Hey, shit, boy.
Okay, it doesn't sound like a serious call. Sir, if you'd like to have a reasonable debate, I'm happy to do so. But it's, I don't know, maybe, and I could be wrong on this. Maybe that was somebody who wants their money back from the drag queen show. Maybe they want a refund. I don't know, but I'm actually happy to have a serious conversation with somebody about this, whether you agree or disagree with this drag queen show. So hopefully we can get a phone caller that actually wants to have a serious conversation about this. 702-221-7283. Let's go to David. Hello, David. What's up?
Hey, Brian, you got to do your research before you start doing these, talking about it on your radio show here.
Okay. Go on.
You said it's 18 and over. It's not 18 and over.
They changed the show to 18 and over. Yes, sir. They recently changed it.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did. They recently.
No,
I have the story right here. Maybe you have to do your research.
Well, read it.
Okay, I will read it for you verbatim. Would you like me to do that?
I'll send it to you so
okay,
you can read it.
You don't have to send me anything. I'll send you pictures of drag queens. Would you like that, sir?
No, I'm not gay like you.
Okay, actually, there's nothing wrong with being gay. And I made a joke, and now you're showing your homophobia. I am a straight male, and I actually believe, unlike you, that people should be allowed to watch what they want to watch, regardless of whether you like it or not. I have the story right here. They have switched the show to 18 and over. So you are 100% wrong. I have the story right in front of me.
You are 100% wrong.
I don't care what you think is right or wrong, sir. I don't care. Okay? You're wasting my time.
You're wrong.
Okay, well, I'll send those drag queen posters over to you, sir, because it sounds like you would really enjoy it. I have the article right here, okay, off of the Associated Press. Now, the Associated Press said, since the DeSantis administration hit them up, they turned the show to 18 and over. And the DeSantis administration still has an issue with that. This guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. And by the way, doesn't it speak volumes on who this guy is? He calls me gay, as if that is, like calling somebody a liberal, that's a Republican, as if you're talking down to somebody. Now, I made a joke to him because I know what kind of person he is. I can tell just by that phone call. He's homophobic. He's on the far right. He's a Trump supporter living in middle America. And quite frankly, most people that are homophobic are bigots. And if you're not a bigot, you probably are gay yourself. And sadly, you're afraid to come out of the closet. That guy probably enjoys it. But he wants to play it off like, his quote, I'm not gay like you. So he's trying to talk down by calling somebody gay, which is what a grade schooler would do. And is it a shock that this is the same person, Donald Trump's base, that has a problem with drag queen shows? And by the way, I do my research. I have the articles right in front of me. They switched this show to 18 and over. This guy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. But you see somebody like that caller who just called into this show, and by the way, the number to call 702-221-7283. Again, the number 702-221-7283. That's the kind of guy that cares more about the threat of drag queens reading books to our children in libraries. To him, that's more important than the gun violence in this country. To him, that's more important with the healthcare issues in this country. To him, that's more important than, say, minimum wage or maybe taking a woman's right away to choose. Those aren't important issues to this guy. What's more important to a guy like that, which is, by the way, Donald Trump's base, are drag queen shows in general. How do I know that? Look at how he used being gay as in derogatory fashion. Anybody who thinks being gay is horrible and wrong, and you want to talk down to people for being gay, which, by the way, I'm not that there's anything wrong with that. Last I checked, I'm a heterosexual man. There's nothing wrong with being gay, but many people in Donald Trump's inner circles, many of those on the far right that have issues with drag queen shows, are the people that use the type of language that guy used when he just called into this program. That's exactly what they do. And it's unfortunate. It's sad. The discrimination that those have been affected by, those that are gay, those that are drag queens, whatever the case may be, they have been the victims of discrimination for many and many years. There are still some countries in the world where they will kill you or hang you if you happen to be gay. And it's sad, it's unfortunate, it's scary. But this is the base of the Republican Party today. The base of the Republican Party today is LGBTQ community, transgender, threat to the country, gay, threat to the country. We can't have two gay people that marry each other. Oh, no, that's horrible. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. And let people live, man. I am not saying that I believe that 12-year-olds or 10-year-olds or 13-year-olds should be seeing anything that's explicit sexually at all. That starts with parenting. And by the way, that's not happening in this country. A bunch of 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds aren't being taught sexually explicit material by teachers. They're not going to drag shows and watching this sort of stuff. It's just not happening, at least not at the rate that many Republicans and people like Ron DeSantis would like you to believe. It's just not happening. But this is the red meat of the Republican base. The guy who just called is a perfect example of that. Use the term of being gay to downplay and downtalk somebody because their sexuality might be different than theirs. And trust me, folks, if somebody's straight, and it happens sadly in this country every day, if somebody's straight commits a sexual act or sexually abuses a child, they don't want to talk about those cases. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about people who happen to be gay that commit crimes, to try to attack the gay community. It's very unfortunate. All right, here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to the 7-footer himself, 11-year NBA veteran Paul McKeskey is going to be joining us. We're going to go over some of the NCAA tournament scores. The first round of the NCAA tournament has officially begun, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk and give an update on Ja Morant. Ja Morant has still not played an NBA game since that whole situation took place with the gun in the strip club. We'll talk a little bit about that. It's funny, NBA players aren't getting in trouble for going to drag queen shows. I mean, that's very shocking to me. But anyway, we'll talk about all that with Paul McKeskey coming up next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro for Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment and work injuries, you name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Mossman. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Mossman representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off Greenview Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
The Radio Shopping Show is heard right here on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday, my favorite time of the year, folks, and my favorite probably 2 days in all of sports. The Final Four is great. The Elite Eight is great. Sweet 16 is great. But the first 2 days of the tournament are my favorites because you got, teams that some people haven't even heard of playing against the likes of like Kansas. And, oh, man, it's so much fun. What better person to mix it up, right? And the big man himself, 11-year NBA veteran, 20-year coach, Paul McKeskey, as they call him, Mo, joining us now in studio. And this studio is way too small for Paul McKeskey, that is for sure. What's up, Paul? How's it going, man?
I'm really happy right now. KU's up 23. We need one more win, and then they come here to Vegas, which would be insane.
And for those of you that don't know, about 140 years ago, Paul McKeskey did play for Kansas.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm calling you old. I'm sorry.
I am old.
I apologize. No, seriously, what year? What were the 4 years you played there?
75 to 79.
And who was your coach?
Ted Owens.
Ted Owens.
He was a coach before Larry Brown was there.
And you were an All-American, weren't you? You were close to it.
In some
yeah,
circles.
Your stats were pretty darn good. Well, you must be happy about that. Kansas, the most important thing for teams like that, and I think you'll agree, is nobody gets hurt, right? You want to win the game, of course, but you don't want any of your starters to get hurt and go down. And we'll have to monitor. And listen, again, I've been going against the Mountain West Conference. I said Nevada was going to lose yesterday. They got spanked. I said Utah State was going to lose today. They got spanked. Missouri's not even that good of a they're an okay team, but Utah State just couldn't score against them. The Mountain West is just not as good as people say it is. They should not have had 4 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough because, the committee goes by your record, but also your record in your conference. How strong is your conference really? And then preseason games. And if you're a college coach, you can schedule, if you're a mid to high level college coach, you can schedule a guaranteed 10 wins a season. Easy. You just preseason, you get pay games. So
UNLV, perfect example of that.
So people who don't understand, let's say Kansas, okay? Kansas pays Morehead State to come into Kansas. They give them $150,000, put them up, feed them, and then beat them, and then that school gets that into their program, and you get a W. That's how college basketball works.
Yeah.
And if you're at a high level like Kansas or those type of teams, you got to be careful because you got to schedule enough high level games, which Kansas has. I think they have the most tier 1 wins, and that means wins against top 20 teams than any team in the tournament. So they've done that and won games. The problem is, if you're that level and you schedule these games and you happen to lose them, now your record is 17 and something or 18 and something.
Right.
You're on the hot seat to get fired. So it's kind of a game played there in college basketball.
So I do want to get back to the NCAA tournament here in a few next segment, and of course we're going to talk some hoops. We're going to talk about John Morant, and I have he actually did an interview with Jalen Rose. I'm going to play a little bit of that for you. But before we do that, I do want to talk a little bit of football because I know you have opinions on the NFL. Let's start here locally with the Raiders. I've talked to people that cover the Raiders regularly that I have a ton of respect for. Like they go to practices every day, and even they're saying to me, I understand that the Raiders are trying to save some money. I get all that, but this Darren Waller trade to the Giants for a 3rd-round draft pick makes literally no sense to me. First of all, Mo, Darren Waller's a great guy. He's great player. He was hurt last year. He didn't get to play a lot. He still had some pretty good numbers. This is a guy who suffered from addiction. HBO Real Sports did a story on him. He literally goes into the tunnels here in Vegas and saves lives. Great guy, stays out of trouble. Phenomenal football player when he's healthy. He suffered with some injuries last year. He just got married to a WNBA player here, Kelsey Plum. A week later, they get rid of him, and people were joking online. This is Mark Davis's, wedding gift to them. This doesn't make any sense to me. And I know what some people will say in defending the Raiders. Well, they're trying to save some salary cap. They're trying to save some money, and they want to bring in, somebody else. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. But my issue is Devontae Adams can't be happy. I don't think he wanted Garoppolo here. He can't be happy. I know they just signed Josh Jacobs, but I haven't heard one real good reason for why they did this.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop too, because I know how important tight ends are to football. I mean, just look at the Chiefs and all those teams that win with great tight ends, and he is an up and coming top 10 tight end in the league, with 15 at least.
Right.
So to give him up for a 3rd-round draft pick makes no sense to me. Now, draft picks in the NFL are different than the NBA. In the NBA, there isn't even a 3rd round. That's how unimportant it is.
Right.
But 2nd-round picks in the NBA, no big deal. No one really cares about them. 3rd round in the NFL, it's a better pick, but still for a tight end, important position, great in the community. It really was kind of interesting to me that, and then when you think, I don't know what the finances are. I don't know, what his contract is, but did it really give him that much relief? It didn't seem like it.
No, and what makes this story more perplexing is I think Darren Waller did work in this offense. He's a very skilled player, and I know he got hurt for much of the year, and he wasn't playing, but he's a good dude. Great with the media. I would imagine he's good with the coaching staff. Part of this is Mark Davis, but I think a lot of this is Josh McDaniels and management, other than Mark Davis. I think Mark Davis, for the most part, kind of stays out of it. Like he's not a Jerry Jones type where he wants to over manage. He wants to let the football people make the football decisions. I do not like Josh McDaniels. I've said that from the beginning. It doesn't seem like he is extremely liked in the locker room. I understand what they say he's trying to do. draft young, get your own players. Where has he been successful at that? He was a head coach before. He failed, and he certainly miserably failed in year one here. Where is his success? Oh, the New England Patriots. Oh, okay. Well, he was the offensive coordinator for 2 Hall of Famers and arguably the best coach and the best quarterback of all time, and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Where else has this guy succeeded? And I don't know. I'm just not a believer in this guy.
Yeah, and maybe it makes me think of, he was hurt last year. So it makes me think of what was that injury, how serious it was, and that evaluation. Because years ago, I was with the Dallas Mavericks, and we had a great nucleus of Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Mike Finley.
Great team.
And we were up and coming.
Were you coaching on that team?
I was an assistant coach on that team, yeah, for 5 years. And that's when I first got there. And they made a conscious decision because Steve Nash had back problems. And he struggled throughout that year to get healthy and stay healthy. And they talked to the doctors, and they come up with the conclusion that to pay Steve Nash, now people don't understand that you pay him $20 million or $30 million a year, whatever that number was, plus over the salary cap, that doubles what you're going to pay out as a team. So they made that financial decision against his projected injury. It turns out that projected injury wasn't like they thought, and Steve Nash was MVP of the league the next year. And if we have Steve Nash on our team, we win the NBA championship.
That's a good point.
So I wonder if there's something there injury-wise, because otherwise it doesn't really make sense to me, that trade.
In that aspect with Dallas, they seem to be a bit impatient. And I think with the Raiders, maybe they're being a little bit impatient with Darren Waller. I don't know. I don't understand Josh McDaniels' plan. It's certainly not to win now. Like if he wanted to win now, he would have made different decisions. If the plan is long term, okay, well, Garoppolo's got several years left to go at least, but he's injury prone. That's not your guy 3-4 years from now. You've gotten rid of Darren Waller. You have arguably the best receiver in college football in Devontae Adams. He's not happy. Clearly, he's made some statements on social media where he's not happy. I don't understand. If you're thinking long term, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I just don't think this is going to work out with Josh McDaniels. And I know it's only year 2 approaching, but I'm not a believer.
And if you want to win short term, right, and you have Devontae Adams, right, and you want to win now, how about go after Aaron Rodgers, one of his best friends that was really successful for him? I mean, I don't know
He's going to be on the Jets. He's a Jets guy.
I thought he said Giants. He wants to play for the
Jets.
Giants.
He's going to be on the Jets.
But I'm like, go ahead and go all out for him then if you're Las Vegas.
Which they clearly didn't. I don't think they could have. Maybe they couldn't have afforded his contract. But, you want to make Devontae Adams a happy man. That would be bringing Aaron Rodgers here. I think Aaron Rodgers would have fit pretty nicely. I think he fits pretty nicely anywhere. Some people say, well, Josh McDaniels' offense doesn't fit Aaron Rodgers. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's still, while he's not in his prime, he's still one of the best quarterbacks in all of the NFL. And, you got to beat guys like the likes of Pat Mahomes, right? I mean, Garoppolo is a guy who his prime is behind him now, I believe. He made it to a Super Bowl. He's a quality quarterback, but he gets hurt a lot. And you have to have an offensive line that can protect him. And right now, the Raiders do not have that. Maybe they get rid of Darren Waller to try to get some guys in that can do that. But I am not sold on what the Raiders have done thus far. I like Mark Davis as a person. I don't believe Mark Davis is a good owner of a professional football team. They've made a lot of mistakes. Bisaccia last year, and that coaching staff should have stayed this year. They got the Raiders to the playoffs. They got the best out of Derek Carr. I think it could have worked out. And they decided to go with a guy who has no positives to speak of as a head coach. And I don't understand what they are trying to do. I just don't understand it. You can tell me all you want until the cows come home that, they're going to draft young and this is a long-term plan. Well, guess what? That doesn't work for Raider Nation here in Vegas. That doesn't work. They want to win now. And that's a really bad plan because you have Max Crosby, one of the best defensive players in the NFL. You have Devontae Adams, arguably the best receiver in football. You had Darren Waller. You should be winning football games now. This shouldn't be a rebuilding situation.
Well, and if you talk about in pro sports, if you want to win now, what do you want to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Toronto Raptors years ago rented Kawhi Leonard. They rented him for half a year. and they won a championship.
Yep.
And then all Toronto Raptor fans were crazy and happy, and everything was great.
Yep.
But now they're nowhere to be seen.
Right.
A few years ago, the Lakers got Anthony Davis and won a championship the next year, even though it was in the bubble. But now they owe him 40 or 50 million a year. But it was worth it to them to win one championship. So at some point, you're going to decide, is it worth sacrificing everything to win now or rebuild? And the worst thing you could do is be in purgatory, and that is not either one or the other. And then your fans aren't happy, your players aren't happy, and no one's happy.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this thing plays out. But I know that there are not many Raiders fans that I've talked to that are very excited at some of the decisions that they've made. Now, listen, we're still in the offseason. They're going to make more decisions. I would imagine they're going to draft a young quarterback and let Garoppolo play here for several years and guaranteed here for a year. But I would imagine Garoppolo will stick around for several years. We hope he doesn't get hurt. But
I heard Brady's coming back. He's going to play here, and Garoppolo's going to be his backup. That's what I heard.
It's, that'd be nice. But, just like New England. But you know what? It's interesting, Mo, because, Tom Brady bought a home here. My guy from TMZ Sports came on the show a few months ago, and he said that Mark Wahlberg just moved here recently in the last year. Seems like everybody's moving here, right? Even 7-footers that used to play in the NBA. They're all moving here.
I'm not living in their neighborhood. I know that.
That's true. You have a nice home, though. But Tom Brady bought a home a couple blocks down the road from his good friend Mark Wahlberg. And when that happened a couple months ago, I said, you know what? He is not happy in Tampa Bay. I think he's going to be a Raider next year. And I was really disappointed to hear that he retired. You never know with Tom Brady. He could come back, but I don't think he will this time.
There's a lot of Ty Lue, the coach of the Clippers.
Sure.
He has a nice house here. There's a lot of people that have houses here.
Yep.
I'm surprised that we haven't heard LeBron James has a house here because
he will.
Obviously wants a team here.
What I think LeBron is going to do, and he said this, and I think this is his plan, is maybe be a partial owner or a majority owner of a team that comes to Vegas. Because, by the way, he loves this city. He praises this city. He loves coming here, USA Basketball. He has events here. He loves it here. He's mentioned that for 1 year, maybe the last year of his career, he might be on the same team as his son. Now, I don't know if his son's going to be an NBA player. I don't think anybody knows that. But if you're LeBron James, you'll make it happen. It could be in Las Vegas. That's all I'm saying. That could be a situation in Vegas where LeBron takes ownership of an NBA team. How does that work, by the way? Can you still be playing and be a partial owner of a team? Do they allow that?
I'm not sure about that. I know when I was a coach in Charlotte, and Michael Jordan was a minority owner, but he ran the basketball end of it.
Right.
And now he's the majority owner. But even guys, Michael Jordan still makes $250 million a year on his Nike contract. He makes more than most NBA players do that are playing right now,
right?
Because of his deals he did, and even he could only buy a small percentage because you're talking about the Bucks are going to go for $3.5 billion, and I would think the Vegas franchise when it comes will be worth more than that.
You would think.
So you need to have partners willing to do that, but that's interesting. I don't know. I know there used to be player coaches. Bill Russell was one. He was a player coach in Boston,
right?
But I don't know if you can be that'd be interesting because, if I'm on that team, I'm making sure that player owner gets the ball and shoots as many times as he wants. So I keep my job and keep my contract. So
that's an interesting concept.
And now I'm an owner and I'm a player and you're my teammate and I get mad at you on the floor.
Right.
I can trade you.
Yeah.
I can just trade you. Like go in the office after the game, make some calls and trade you because I'm mad at you.
Right.
I don't know if that works. I don't like that.
I'm not sure either, Mo. I'm with you on that. That's an interesting concept. I don't think some players would like that. But hey, I'm just saying I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that LeBron James buys a piece of an NBA team or maybe a majority of a team. The guy's got boatloads of money. He can do it. And maybe when a franchise comes out here to Las Vegas, which is just a matter of time, it will, that his son could be drafted on his team, or maybe he plays for a half a season. Who knows? But I wouldn't put it past LeBron. He's LeBron James, and he's got a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot of say, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. So I want to talk a little bit about John Morant, and then we'll get to the NCAA tournament and talk about some of the games today and some of the games that are being played now. As you know, we talked about this last week. John Morant loses a basketball game, goes to a strip club afterwards. That's not where we have an issue.
Which was done many, many, many times.
Yes, I'm sure. But he goes to a strip club, and then he starts flashing a gun. We were told that he was going to be suspended 2 games. He's now been out 6 games. And I want to play you a clip because these are the first public comments that John Morant has made.
And let's back up a little bit. So
Sure.
what I understand is now the league is suspended for 8 games,
right?
But he's already served 6 games,
correct?
So it's only 2 more. And the other thing that on that video, I don't agree with it. He was really stupid to do it, but the facts are you don't know if that was a real gun or if he was drunk or
Right,
there would
right.
be charges in Denver.
Right.
But it seemed like it was either way. It was stupid for him to do.
Very.
And then I listened to that interview that you're going to play a little bit, and there's some interesting things said in that interview.
Well, the parts of the interview that I'm not going to play, it's redundant because Jalen Rose goes, and I love Jalen Rose. I think he does a great job. I've always liked him. I loved him as a player, love him as an analyst. He's a personality. He's very good at what he does. And he loves boxing too. I see him at all the boxing events. Super nice guy. And I thought he did a good job in this interview. He went down the list of all the issues that Morant has had, an issue with his sister, an issue with his mom.
That we talked about.
Yes,
on
which
the show,
you brought up, which I didn't even know. And
Yeah.
Morant gave the same answer. Well, my mom was in trouble. I went there. I found out she wasn't in trouble. No, Ja, that's not what happened, okay? You're going to these places and you're causing a ruckus with no understanding of what's happening, and you're causing a scene, and you're arguably breaking the law and causing a disturbance. He didn't get into that. He made the excuse of, well, this is my family. Just because it's your family doesn't mean you could break the law. And by the way, his mom was fine. His sister was fine. He was wrong. He didn't really own up to that. But this was the moment where Jalen Rose just says to him, what happened in the strip club? What's the deal? And here's the response, the question and the response. Here it is.
All right, Shotgun Willie's. I've been there. You were holding a gun. And we both know how dangerous that can be. Whose gun were you holding?
Well, the gun wasn't mine. It's not who I am. I don't condone any type of violence. But I take full responsibility for my actions. Made a bad mistake, and I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm gonna show everybody who John really is, what I'm about, and change this narrative.
All right, so a couple things there, Mo. First of all, he didn't answer the question on whose gun it was. It's obviously one of his boys. That's number one. Number two, I can't stand it. This is one of my pet peeves. Like, for example, when somebody's out there, and listen, he didn't hurt or kill anybody. He only hurt himself. Thank goodness he didn't hurt anybody else. But I will make an analogy to, like, say, I don't know, a drunk driver. When somebody gets pulled over for drunk driving and maybe they injure somebody, and then in an interview they'll say, well, this isn't who I am. And I say to you, no, it is. Right now it is who you are. You can change who you are, but nobody fake did this. You did it. So right now this is who you are. This is who John Morant is. He's a guy that is extremely immature. He makes really bad decisions. He's got really bad people hanging around him. This is who he is. I'm not saying he can't change. I hope he does. I hope he learns his lesson. But stop saying this isn't who you are. This is your behavior. This is what you did. This is what we see the public. This is who we see you are. Now, we don't know you personally. Some of his friends and family might say, oh, you know what? This isn't who Ja is. Okay, that's fine. But this is what he did. So this is all we have to go by.
Yeah, and here's another thing, and please don't do this. This is not what Paul Mokeski does. Don't start talking in the third person, please. You're a basketball player and athlete. Just talk for yourself. But I watched that interview. He seemed sincere, but it did seem predetermined. And Jalen did a good job, but he's not an investigative reporter, so he didn't follow up. Because I would have asked him, and I'm not sure if this was said or not, what about the incident with the 17-year-old basketball player at your house that was beat up? What about that?
He didn't ask about that.
Yeah. So, and you know what? If you're going to follow up, whose gun was it? That mentality, they're going to tell on somebody, and But yeah. And here's the other thing I have a problem with, because I've had problems before 20 years ago, and I've gone through my stuff and come out better for it. But he's been in therapy, supposed therapy for what, 8 days?
Yeah.
To come, number one, I think this interview was done way too soon. It should be done weeks
after the therapy.
Yeah, or just this is the process I'm going through. But to say that everything is fine now, but like I said on the show before, when you have a problem, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, number one is saying you got a problem. And then number two is getting the right help for that problem.
Right.
And then number three is what you just talked about, getting rid of the people in your life that cause that problem or help promote that problem. So I think he's in phase one. He admitted it. I think he's getting help, but he's got a long way to go. And I hope he does, because he's from all the people I've talked to, he's a really good guy. But he's very immature, like you said. He makes bad decisions, make a bunch of money, maybe costing himself 10 times more of that money. But I just think the interview was done too soon, I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to use it because I don't know another one. It was a little flippant to me. It was more, here's the problem, here's the answer, here's the problem,
Well,
here's the
we
answer.
can go back, Mo, and we can talk about mistakes that people have made and could have cost them their career. I think of Paul Pierce, very lucky.
Yeah.
He was hanging around some wrong people at a nightclub, I believe, in Boston, and he was stabbed.
Multiple times. Yeah.
He could have died.
Oh, absolutely.
He look at the career he's had, Hall of Fame career, right?
Yeah.
And he was hanging around the wrong people. And I hate to say it, but I think that's the best thing that could have happened to him, because he stopped hanging around those people, and he didn't have any issues like that until after he's retired. He's done some interesting things, but had a good career. I think of a guy, and this guy wasn't an all-star, but it's a guy that went to my alma mater, 7 inches taller than you, by the way, Keith Kloss. He gets signed by the LA Clippers, and I think he played a little after you, but Keith Kloss was a guy who had a lot of skill for a big man.
Absolutely.
And he was hanging around the wrong people, and he got stabbed in a very similar situation, ended his career. He never got back into the league. I hope I'm wrong on this, but if Morant doesn't get the help that he needs, and if he doesn't smarten up, I could see something like that happening to him. And I hope that doesn't happen. But his father doesn't seem to be the best role model, as we've seen publicly. And he doesn't have the right people around him. And I think that's the key here. Those people around him have not done a very good job. And going forward, even though it's an 8-game suspension, they've talked about this, he's not going to play that 9th game. He's got to get in NBA-ready shape. They're going to ease him into it. And I think the coach has said all the right things. They've said all the right things. His mental health is number one. Maybe he's got some mental illness. I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. But I just don't know how. And I'm going to use the term dumb. I'm sorry. Immature, dumb, whatever. I don't know how you could be so stupid to be a high-profile athlete and somebody else wasn't recording you. Okay, we're not talking about somebody else at another table that, oh, my God, John Morant's got a gun. We're not even talking about that. That'd be dumb enough to do that in public. We're talking about Morant taking his own phone and going live, showing off a gun. Like, how stupid. To me, that's just pure stupidity.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring up Keith Kloss, because I coached him years ago.
Oh, did you?
In the Jones Cup in Taiwan. I think he was 44, or 40, but he could still play. He still blocked shots. He really high basketball IQ, and he's got past his. He had a drinking problem. He admits it. He was drunk on the bench of NBA games during the game, and he admits that. And he's been clean and sober. I've been clean and sober for 21 years. I think he's at 15 or something like that. We had that conversation, and you're absolutely right. He was doing crazy stuff, and he could have another 10 years in the NBA.
Absolutely.
And back then, you're looking, that's $20-30 million.
He was averaging a double-double at one point in his career. I mean, he was a very serviceable player.
So he's someone that found that fixed it too late, and we hope John Morant is not that situation, but. One situation, one bad move, and everything could fall down like a house of cards. And I'm hoping this is his wake-up call, because everybody that has problems like this needs some point as a wake-up call. And that level could be anywhere. It could be, my hangover is too bad, or it could be, I hurt my family, or it could be I killed someone in a car. It could be anything. But that bottom line is some point for everybody. I just hope and pray that was John Morant's bottom, and he can go from there. But that's a big question mark right now.
And he's such a phenomenal basketball player.
Oh, man.
He's such a phenomenal athlete. He's such a great player, and he's good for the league because he's really exciting to watch, right?
And he's a great story. He wasn't recruited out of high school. He went to Murray State. Someone coached just happened to see him at an AAU tournament, and then he had a great career there for 2 years, and now he's such a great story of where he came from.
Yeah.
You just hope this is just a little roadblock in his career / life, and not a finite moment.
I didn't like his responses in the interview. I didn't like it.
They seemed kind of choreographed.
Yeah,
to me
I didn't like it, and I don't know how genuine he sounded. I didn't like his answers. He seemed to make excuses. While he did say, yeah, I can see why people interpreted it that way. No, it's not people seem to interpret it that way. That's what you did. I don't like it when people respond like that and then they say, well, that's not me. Yes, it is. It is you until you prove otherwise. That is exactly you. I don't care what your family says. I don't care what your friends say. This is your behavior. This is what you did. This is what the public sees. And this has nothing to do with you, the basketball player. It has everything to do with you, the person. Knock it off. It's enough already. You've got more money than God. You've got your entire life ahead of you. Regardless of whether you want to be or not. I remember those old Charles commercials where I'm not your woman. Whether you like it or not, you are a professional. Kids look up to you. We don't want kids flashing around guns. I don't think he truly understands what he did. In that interview, I don't think he truly understands the magnitude of what he did.
I would like more like, I did this. It's a huge mistake. It can't happen again. It won't happen again. That answer.
I would have loved that answer.
Yeah, not that.
Yeah.
It's not what I meant or something like that. Yeah,
I hope I hope I'm wrong on this, but I think he's going to do it again. He's going to do something stupid. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not rooting for that to happen. I don't like his responses. I think they're doing PR cleanup. That's what it sounded like to me. And it might not happen in 6 months. It might not happen in a year, but I would be surprised. And again, I hope I'm wrong because I'm not rooting for this. But within a couple of years, several years, something bad is going to happen unless he really, truly wants to change. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm just curious before we go to break, and then we're going to talk NCAA hoops. In your days of playing in the NBA, did you have any guys on your team where you said to yourself, that guy is a walking time bomb? He's going to do this or he's going to do that.
Not really. There's a situation, I'm not going to go into it, that there was a player, really good player, spectacular player.
That you played with?
Yeah. Everyone knows who it was. And he was hanging around with the wrong people. And he was told by the team, because FBI people told the league and the team, hey, this guy is doing this and he needs to stop being around his guys because they're affiliated with those guys. And he refused to do it because they're his guys. They've been with him his whole life. And it pretty much forced the team into a trade that should never have happened, and pretty much tore down a franchise that was up and coming because he wouldn't step away from his childhood friends that were leading him in the wrong direction. And he got traded. His career went up and down and ended up pretty good. But at that point, he didn't want to listen to anybody.
Even the FBI.
And you know what? That affected everyone on that team, and it affected me big time because I was set up to be on that team for years to come. I hadn't signed that contract yet and was going to be in their future plans. But when that happened, that tore up all those future plans, and it affected the coach, assistant coaches, and a lot of players on that team.
How much do you think this affects Memphis?
They're treading water now. They're holding their spot, but they have injuries that they have to deal with, and it affects them a lot because he's the face of that franchise for now and the future, and now they're kind of in limbo right now. Is he coming back? When's he coming back? Because let's face it, they're second or third in the West.
Right.
They're right in the middle of a playoff push. And Memphis hasn't been there in a long, long time. And now they're, at the worst time. This happens at the worst time when you're getting ready for the playoffs. And, it's going to, what he does in the next couple months is going to affect, because if he doesn't take care of business and they have to move on from him, I don't think they will. But if they do, that means all those other players and coaches are going to be affected also.
Yeah, it's a difficult circumstance. I like their coach, and they got some good players on that team, but he is the glue. I mean, he is the stud. I mean, he is the star. He's the guy you want with the basketball to take over a game, and there's no question that this is going to have some effect on Memphis. And I'm rooting for him.
That coach is a friend of mine. We coach in the G League against each other.
Seems like a good dude.
He's a great guy. Yeah. He's a hard worker. If you look on their bench, they have a lot of G League coaches that are on his staff. So he brought people with him.
That's
and
cool.
He's done the right things, and he's got the franchise in the place it needs to be.
Right.
And hopefully this one, hopefully Ja's going to learn and get better and then proceed along the lines it's going. Or if not, that thing could be blown up before anybody knows it.
I'm rooting for him. I want him to get his stuff straight, so to speak. And I'm rooting for him because he's great for basketball. He's great for the NBA, but this is bad. This is not good for the NBA. So we'll have to wait and see and monitor this situation. All right. He's Paul McKeskey. I'm Brian Shapiro. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, a little bit of bracketology. Yes. I know that the playing games are technically day one, but let's be honest here.
Yeah. They call this round two.
Yeah. Come on, man. This is round one. Okay. Stop it with the nonsense. The Duke Blue Devils are playing at 4 p.m. today. We got some very interesting matchups. We'll give you some updates and get some of Mo's picks for some very interesting games later tonight and tomorrow. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Hey, everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I'm going to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moss. He was Las Vegas' top DUI prosecutor for years, prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in our country. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, Chief Thomas Moss will represent you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges, knowledge of DUI law to work for you. Give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. Located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off Ruby Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
The National Atomic Testing Museum is a national science, history, and educational institution that tells the story of America's nuclear weapons testing program at the Nevada Test Site. Located at 755 East Flamingo Road, just east of Paradise, the museum offers immersive, interactive experts for guests of all ages. The museum is Smithsonian certified and open 7 days a week. For more information, visit nationalatomictestingmuseum.org. That's nationalatomictestingmuseum.org.
All right, welcome back. Limits on a Thursday, the Mo Shapiro Hour every Thursday. Thomas Keston in the house, 11-year NBA veteran, 20-year coach. I'll tell you guys about a mutual bar that we both appreciate very much. Of course, I'm talking about Jackson's Bar and Grill. I took my mom over there for dinner the other day. She loved it. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders. The Pass the Puck contest during Vegas Golden Knights games. And I got to tell you, folks, they got some pretty good promotions. Every Wednesday and Sunday, if you earn 200 points, you get $50 in free slot play in the month of March. Great place to hang out, grab some food, and play. And I got to tell you, I've had some luck there as well recently. Jackson's Bar and Grill, where Paul McKeskey hit a royal flush. Yes, and he can confirm that, can't you, Mo?
Yeah, but if we're going to advertise that, I need some free play.
That's fair enough. I'm pretty sure that Brian will give you a slip hawk over there. We'll hook you up with some free play.
We can make posters and everything if you do that.
You need to have a face like they do in the front of the casinos with like pumping your fist in the air. Paul, hit a royal. That'd be awesome.
Let me hold this.
Yes, that would be super cool. So I'm looking at some of the scores, and let's go over a few of them today. Quickly, yesterday, I called that Arizona State game. I've been loud on that all week. I said Nevada had no business being in the NCAA tournament.
Plus, we saw them live, and they gave Arizona all they could handle.
They did
a half and a half.
They're a good team. I would not want to play them tomorrow. And Nevada had no business being in the tournament. I mean, come on, UNLV beat them on their home floor, and they lost to San Jose State in the quarters of the. So anyway, we can move on from that. Obviously, we're happy about your Kansas team moving on. They had no problems. If you're wondering what the other number one seed is doing, the overall number one seed, Alabama is having their way right now with Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. They're up over 20 points right now, so they're not having any issues. Very intriguing San Diego State-Charleston game. I said to myself this was probably, and I've been saying this all week, probably the one team that I could see most likely winning at least one game in the NCAA tournament. San Diego State is in a tight one. It's a one-possession game at the half. They're up by 3. Arizona having no problems with Princeton right now. I just want to go over the games that are going on right now. Arkansas literally just tipped, and you told me Arkansas is one of your teams that could be a sleeper.
Well, I know Coach Musselman there coached in the CBA, coached in the D League. I played for his dad in Cleveland. He's an excellent coach. He was with the Sacramento Kings. He was up here at UNR and took them to the Sweet 16, I think.
That was a magical year, and I remember that NCAA tournament run. I think it was the first round where they were down like 20 points in the second half, and they came back.
He is a very good at scouting teams and exploiting their weaknesses. He's really good at that. And I believe they'll win today, and then they're going to play my Jayhawks, and I'm very fearful of that game.
You really think that Arkansas can get them?
I know Coach Musselman. They have talent. They're athletic, and he just prepares teams pretty much like I've been around some great coaches, better than anybody I've been around, I think.
Interesting. And you mentioned earlier they've had a week to prepare for Illinois, and that's why. But they're not going to have as much time to prepare for Kansas.
Thank goodness, yeah.
I agree with what you said about Musselman. I thought I wanted him to get the UNLV job here. Phenomenal coach. Phenomenal. A nightmare to work for. I know people that have worked for him, and they say he is a nightmare to work for. But boy, what a great job he did at Nevada. You're absolutely right. And
so let's go back to your San Diego State, right?
Yes, let's do that.
So if they win like we think they will today, then Virginia got upset by Furman, right?
Correct.
So now they're
what a joke the end of that game was, by the way. We were just talking about that.
So they're going to be able to play Furman, who they can beat, and now they're on to the next round. So that's a big break for them.
Mm-hmm. There are some interesting matchups that I want to go through. Let's just start with today. Some of the games that are later today, if that's all right. This is a game that starts within about an hour or so. Auburn and Iowa. What do you make of this one?
Well, Iowa's, plays in a great conference. Everybody knows that. But I told somebody the other day, I seem to remember months ago at the beginning of the season, wasn't Auburn like the talk of the league? Weren't they number one? Weren't they a lock for the Final Four? So you can't forget that now. They probably went through some situations. Maybe they got some injuries, and maybe they're back. So, I mean, someone that's been up there, like a UCLA, I can see making a run in this tournament.
Here's another team that you might disagree with me about making a run, but I like the way Duke has played over the course of the last several weeks. Now, they're playing a very good Oral Roberts team. I was reading a little bit about this team. They had a phenomenal year. This is a very, very good team, and that's probably why the spread's only 6. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think Duke wins it. They're healthy now. Keep in mind, Duke hasn't been healthy all year. They finally have hit their stride, and they're hitting it at the right time, and Shire has done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, Duke's playing the best basketball they have all year at the right time. They have a good coach, Coach Shire, who I coached in the G League.
Right.
And they didn't win some foo-foo tournament to get to the
No.
NCAA. They won the ACC tournament.
Yeah, which is huge.
I have them winning 2 games and then
Yep.
eventually run into Purdue at the
Yeah,
end.
I don't think they beat Purdue,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't surprise me if they
No,
did.
I mean,
Yeah, Shire's done a great job. Interesting matchup. Listen, not a lot of people think D1 college basketball powerhouse when you think of Colgate, but they're a pretty good basketball team. I saw their conference tournament, watched some games on TV. They're playing a pretty good Texas team. Texas has been through a lot this year, but what do you make of this one?
Well, I have Texas going a long way because Texas beat my Jayhawks in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. Beat them by 20 and beat them by 20 the week before. So they have all it takes to win and win at a high level. And they're just like Duke, playing the best basketball at the right time.
Let's go back to the Mountain West. I do believe that San Diego State's going to win this game today, but I wouldn't bet on Boise State. I watched Boise State, and by the way, they're playing a pretty good Northwestern team. I watched Boise State in the Mountain West Conference. That it seems like Leon Rice's teams always underachieve. I know they won the conference tournament recently, but they lost to Utah State. Utah State just lost earlier today. The Mountain West Conference does not ever seem to win games in the NCAA tournament unless you have a guy by the name of Jimmer Fredette and Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best year the Mountain West Conference has had since I've been in Las Vegas, and I've been here for 2 decades. This Northwestern's favored by 2. The over-under is disgusting, 128. So basically the bookies are saying this is going to be a low, grinded-out scoring game. I don't like Boise State, and I'll tell you why I don't like them. They got a bunch of bigs that rely too much on the 3. They're soft. They're not a very physical basketball team. You got a bunch of guys that are 6'8", 6'9", that are getting out there shooting jump shots. Northwestern is physical. I think Boise State's going to have a problem with this team. I still think it's going to be close, but I think Northwestern wins this basketball game. I am not the only team I said that was going to win a game with San Diego State, and they might not even win today. It's a 3-point game.
Yeah, I picked Boise State as kind of an upset, but it's a coin toss, and really it doesn't really matter because whoever wins,
they're going to lose in the next round.
They're going
Right.
to lose to UCLA, who we saw this weekend, and I really like them. They have a great point guard.
Tiger can play.
They got Jason Capono 2.0 that can really score. My only concern with UCLA is their big center who got hurt at the game we saw.
Hurt his elbow.
Can he play? Because without him, they don't have any bigs. That's
right.
part of Kansas's problem.
Yep. No, you're right.
But it's going to be interesting.
So another game tonight with the number 1 seed, of course, Houston, a very well-coached team, and a number 1 seed against a Northern Kentucky team. With all due respect to them, good team, but they have no chance. Houston's not going to lose this basketball game. A lot of people are picking Houston to win it all. I am not one of those people because I don't think they're good enough defensively. They're very gifted offensively, but I tell you, if Houston played a team like a UCLA, I would favor UCLA in that game because I think Houston, not very good defensively. But again, that's one of those games where today I don't think Houston's going to have a problem.
Yeah, I agree, and I have Houston going really far till I have Texas knocking Houston off for the Final Four just with the way they're playing. But I also in that bracket I have Drake winning a couple games.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
They're a veteran team. I saw them play. They have 3 6-year guys and 1 5-year guy, and they're not afraid, and they have good in every position. So
Sure.
It's going to be a good game, Drake and Indiana. I think.
Here's another good one today. There's so many intriguing matchups today and tomorrow. This is one that could go down to the wire. Pretty good Penn State team against Texas A&M. 2 pretty good basketball teams that I believe are very evenly matched. And I think this is going to be a very entertaining game. It starts at around 7 p.m. tonight, Mo, and this is a game that I'm going to want to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game, and I have Penn State coming out of that game. I just, they've been there before. They're physical. They play in a physical, kind of basketball. And at this time of year, I was watching some of the games early. It seems to me, and we'll watch some games later, the refs are letting a lot go. I've seen some hooking offensive fouls that aren't called. I've seen some people knocked to the floor. So it's going to be, if that's so throughout the whole tournament, those physical games, teams like you pointed out, will win some games.
I agree with you. So I usually don't take totals in the tournament, but the Utah State game today, even though I bet against Utah State and Mizzou ended up winning the game, I took the under. The over-under was 155.5, and I said to myself, Utah State couldn't score against San Diego State. They couldn't get to 70, and this is the NCAA tournament, and they didn't.
Who I was watching that game a little bit, and Missouri has a transfer from Georgetown, a
Oh, really?
6'9" big physical guy,
Yeah.
and he was killing them inside.
Well, because they're not athletic, and that's why I picked San Diego State to destroy Utah State in the finals of the Mountain West. Utah State has a bunch of players that are they're good shooters. They're fundamentally sound, but they don't have that athleticism you need to go deep in the NCAA tournament or even to win a game. And here's another intriguing matchup. God, we have so many good ones. Let's start with tomorrow morning. UCLA, we don't need to go over that one. They're going to have their way with UNC Asheville. But USC, Michigan State. What an intriguing matchup. The first game tomorrow. Tom Izzo. How can you bet against this guy? Now, I don't like the way USC played against Arizona State in the Pac-12 game in the tournament, but I have to stay away from this game because I could see either team winning. I don't really have an opinion on this. I can't bet against Tom Izzo either.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier in the year, and USC was battling UCLA, right, for that conference,
right?
And they came up short, but Izzo always has his players prepared, and they always play physical and knock people around. I mean, remember years ago where he put his bigs in football helmets and pads and just let them go at it on the basketball court. So, I don't know how you could bet against Izzo, but that's going to be one of the games I'm looking to watch.
I watched the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos play in the finals of the Big West tournament. They're not very good. I know they won the Big West. The Big West is terrible. Baylor, we watched Baylor play earlier this year. Good basketball team, not at the level of an Arizona or UCLA. I like this game. I like taking Baylor and giving 10.5. I think Baylor wins this game very handily. I watched UC Santa Barbara play, and I just wasn't impressed by them. I don't think they're very good.
Yeah, Baylor has been really, really good the last 5 or 6 years, and they've done a great job in a tough conference. And arguably the Big 12 is the best conference out there. I don't know. I think there's 7 or 8 teams in there, and they've been beat up in that conference, but they have a great coach also. So
sure,
I couldn't bet against Baylor either.
Yeah, well, I'll give you another one with I think a coach that we both would respect in Randy Bennett and what he's done at St. Mary's. I don't like the way St. Mary's has played the last couple of weeks, and I understand you're playing Gonzaga. I get it. They were destroyed by Gonzaga in the regular season, and they were destroyed like embarrassing fashion. That's unlike Randy Bennett teams. Virginia Commonwealth, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about this team. The spread's only 4.5. I am staying away from this game. I would lean towards St. Mary's and Randy Bennett because he's such a good basketball coach, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Vermont.
That could be a good
could
upset.
be.
Because we know Gonzaga's not the Gonzaga of old.
No, and that might help them though this year. Being the number 1 seed, you have a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
they're the number 3.
But I'm talking about St. Mary's.
Right,
so St. Mary's is getting embarrassed by Gonzaga, who's not the Gonzaga of old.
Exactly.
That means they're not what they.
Good
they
point.
Should be.
And that's why I'm staying away from that game because I think that could go either way. And you're right, that could be an upset. Marquette, pretty good team. Seems like we're always talking about Vermont in the NCAA tournament. They seem to win their conference every year, but I don't think Marquette's going to have an issue. So I watched Pittsburgh play Mo yesterday. And I'm watching the game that they barely squeaked by and won in the playing game.
They should have lost that game.
They should have lost that game. I don't think that Jeff Capel coaches that team, right?
Yeah, I coached with his dad in Charlotte.
Seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. He has was an assistant at Duke for years and years.
I am not a big fan of Mr. Otzelberger over at Iowa State. Pittsburgh plays Iowa State. He's had a couple good years, even though these are guys that he hasn't recruited. I thought he did a terrible job here at UNLV. Obviously, he's winning a lot of basketball games at Iowa State. This is one of those matchups where I could absolutely see Pittsburgh win this basketball game. I like the fact that they've played a game already. Iowa State seems to be up, down, up, down. They play against their competition. I'm certainly rooting against TJ Otzelberger, not because I have money on the game. I just don't like him. So
we're opposite there because
really?
I like him.
You like TJ?
When he was here, I went to his practices. I went to his games. I spent some time with him. I like him. Very good organized practices, was doing really good
Why didn't
stuff.
it work for him here then?
I don't think he got the players for whatever reason. I don't think he used the transfer portal like he's using now. So, and one thing he does, he makes his teams play defense. And I watched them in Lawrence, Kansas, barely lose to number 1 Kansas team by 2 when they had a 3 at the end that I thought was going in.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can do that with that team, I have them winning that game. But that's probably as far as they go.
As far as I'm concerned, maybe the matchup of the tournament as far as first round games. and we've talked about this a little bit. You've got a pretty good UConn Husky team that some say could even get out of the West and make the Final Four. And Danny Hurley's done a phenomenal job against Rick Pitino's Iona.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game where they're giving they're giving Iona 9 points. I think that's too many. I think Rick Pitino, now UConn should win this basketball game. They have more talent, but with the coaching of Rick Pitino, I expect this game to be very competitive, right? It's a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I have UConn coming on top of that. And then I have, because, Rick Pitino, a coach, you can help teams win, but if you don't have the talent that the other team wins, you're going to lose that game for the most part. And then I have UConn going another round until they meet KU. But, I'm just looking at my bracket, and I'm looking in the future now, but I can't read the future. But who I have in my bracket before the Final Four is Alabama playing Arizona. What a great game.
That could be a great matchup.
Purdue playing Marquette, another great game. Kansas playing UCLA, Blue Bloods against each other. And then 2 Texas teams, Houston and Texas, to see who goes to the Final Four. That would be an awesome final to the Final Four.
And it's interesting, Mo, because you were just talking about low scoring and refs kind of letting them play. What a disgusting score this is. Arkansas, Illinois, they've played 10 minutes of basketball. How many points do you think they've scored?
I would think they scored 10. First half, I think they got
the first 10 minutes.
20 to 18.
The score is 13-7.
Ooh, ouch. Who's ahead? Who's winning?
Arkansas's winning.
Okay.
This is exactly the kind of game Muss probably wants. Physical.
Grind it out, yeah.
They've scored 20 points in 10 minutes, so I can almost guarantee you that when we go visit Chris Wynn for lunch today, I guarantee you he has the over in this game. I can guarantee you, Mo. I wanted to give Chris a chance to call in and give his picks because I want my listeners to get the opportunity to bet the opposite, but he didn't want to do it because he was insulted.
At least he could have given to us.
Yeah, right. I didn't even ask you this question before we go. Who's your team that you're picking to win it all?
I want to pick my Kansas Jayhawks, but they scare me with their bad free throw shooting and size. I got Alabama.
Really?
I just think
Alabama.
They're super talented. They've been there all season. They got guard play, wing play, and some athletic play.
I'm going to make a pick that not many people have made, and I am going to go with UCLA. And the reason why I'm going with UCLA is because they have senior guard leadership. They've got big men that can score. Obviously, health-wise, we don't know if they're center health. We know that Cronin has been there before. He knows what it takes. And I'm going to go with not chalk. Not a lot of people are picking UCLA. I think they beat Arizona if they meet them again.
Ooh, that'd be a great game.
And I am going with my boy Cronin. He's a great coach. And
I want to back that a little bit.
30 seconds. Go ahead.
From day one, I picked Purdue because I saw Purdue. They have one of the best bigs in the league. They got good guard play, and they got guys that can shoot three. And they're a team that actually throws it into the post to a guy that can score and pass. That would unfortunately might not even be drafted, even though he might be player of the year. But
there are
so my side bet. I got a side bet with Purdue over there.
All right, I like it. Most side bet. I like it. I can see Purdue going deep as well. I think everything you said is very true with that team, and they are going to destroy Fairleigh Dickinson. That's one of my picks as well. The spread is 22.5. Fairleigh Dickinson is not good out of the Northeast Conference. Purdue's not going to have any problems there. But all right, we'll have to wait and see what happens. We're going to go watch some basketball, and it's a tough life, but somebody's got to do it. And Mo, always a pleasure having you on. Always great. And we will be watching Kansas play this weekend as well. So we got a lot to look forward to.
We will be doing our show right before we're going to the Kansas game.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. Well, don't jinx them. They still have to win another game. But yes, we will be doing that. You're right. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks to Mr. Marquez and those here at KSHP. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy the basketball.